Good morning. I'm sorry about the confusion with where my Ignite session was going to be. I hope that some of you have an opportunity to join me this morning, and I will start very quickly so that I will allow you to have more time to do other things. So my name is Thomas Furman, and I'm principal at Jerry Whitson Elementary in Cookeville, Tennessee. Appears that we're jumping through this rather quickly. Hold on just a moment. Let me come back here. Thought I had everything set at 15 seconds. Apparently I don't. So I want to talk about the wonders of virtual reality for educational applications. And if you want to, you can participate in the Q&A back channel here. There's a QR code on this slide to help you to get to that. So what is virtual reality? To keep it simple, it's the use of technology to draw you closer to perspectives you might not likely experience otherwise. There are a lot of other ways that we could talk about virtual reality, but essentially it puts you in a place where you wouldn't otherwise be, and it gives you the opportunity to see things that you may not otherwise see. Sometimes this is in an imaginative realm. Sometimes this is even putting you in the action of something that's been captured on 360-degree video. So virtual reality is not new, but it is gaining momentum. The virtual reality and head tracking systems even go all the way back to 1960. If you look at some of the things here, you'll see there was a head tracking system, and then it moved into something that was kind of an arcade environment. And then, of course, Sega and Nintendo came along and tried some of their different types of virtual reality as well. But now with cell phones being almost ubiquitous, it's really becoming popular for virtual reality to be used in a lot more places than it previously was. So how can you access virtual reality? Well, here are just a few of the ways. Samsung Gear VR actually integrates with the Samsung Galaxy phone. So this is one way. The Oculus Rift is another way. And one that's gained a lot of popularity because of its cost is the Google Cardboard for iOS and Android devices. So these are a few of the ways, and you'll see how some of those will play out as I talk about this virtual reality. So why virtual reality in education? Well, to keep this brief, it can put you in the action. It allows our students to empathize with others. It also helps us to get to unreachable parts of the world, also take us even into worlds that we wouldn't otherwise be able to access, engages our students in content, especially with ramifications that can play out virtually and have less long-standing consequences, and it can enhance an actual space with virtual content. So for example, if you get an opportunity to look at this later and you go to this YouTube clip, you'll see that someone has recorded a full 360-degree immersion experience. So we can put our students in a place where otherwise they wouldn't be by basically allowing them to experience what somebody else has captured on film. And there are a lot of cameras that can do this, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Empathy. Especially with the New York Times VR app, this is one of the things that has allowed students to experience empathy. Here you can see one who is climbing to the top of One World Trade Center, as well as the displaced, where you can see about the many refugee children who've been driven from their homes or displaced. And also travel. In fact, we've known about Google Street View for quite some time, but virtual reality are pretty cool. If you notice here, in your iOS or Google Play app, there's a little cardboard icon. You can click on that, and it will also take you into the action and experience it immersively. And then micro worlds, you'll see several that are listed here. Some of these are some that you can download. Actually, I think I've linked to the iOS App Store for InMind and InCell, as well as some of those that the TTU iCube is developing with the diabetes app, the heart and lungs app, and even a neurosciences app. These aren't fully available for any sort of download right now, but you can look into some of the possibilities there where these actually are. Engagement with virtual consequences. So one of the projects that TTU iCube is working on is a classroom management education simulation so that pre-service teachers can get the opportunity to experience what it might be like in a classroom without actually being there. And here's another YouTube video link that might help for you to better understand the ecosystem in one of the apps that's been developed as well by TTU iCube. Virtual enhancement. What we really wanted to do was create some sort of a virtual reality application for a physical space that we had. So we have an agriculture lab, and what we've asked for in our partnership is to kind of that ag lab virtually and overlays with it. So you'll see right here that this might represent sort of a flat aerial view of one of our raised beds in that ag lab. And then what we're hoping for is eventually we'll have different applications on top of that, different layers and such, where our students can actually work with area and perimeter for third grade math standards. Also looking at some applications with respect to the engineering of weather instruments, as well as actually getting inside the cell, both the animal and the plant cell, so that our students can experience things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to experience in that virtual realm. And our VR partnership with TTU iCube has kind of set this venture up for us. So you can see that they've already begun imaging some of our playground equipment as we're continuing to develop our ag lab space. And you can see even a 360 fly camera video representation of this as well. And so again, they've begun developing sort of the ag lab space in the virtual, and this is my rudimentary overlay what this might look like, and then imagine our students being able to approach this in a three-dimensional environment where they can actually experience what it's like to see the perimeter and the area grid overlay with things like this, while also experiencing it in the real world. So it is possible right now to create content for under $1,000. The 360 Fly here actually runs about $400. I think they have a newer model with the 4K that'll run about $500. I believe this one's about $500 with the 360 cam, and then Views that's available for pre-order about $700. And these allow you to actually create content that you can experience in some of these VR venues. A few that are worth checking out: Unimmersive is one that's got several projects, TTU iCube and Verse, although I will tell you that some of the content may not be appropriate for all students, so make sure you use your discretion on that one. So we took a leading scientist in our area, Billy Hicks, who used to work with NASA and was also a computer science major, into the iCube to experience kind of what this looks like. And of course, here you can see he's working with the Oculus, and over here is something called the VizCube. That's another emerging, really exciting, but somewhat expensive virtual reality platform. And here you can see some of our students. We took our 4th grade students over to the VizCube to experience this. And here you can see, I believe this is the setting for Quake, and the students got to sort of experience this in a three-dimensional environment. You can see there are little sensors that actually pick up their directional movement and such. Here's a student that they virtually dropped, and you can see her sort of bracing herself for the fall. So you can get started on this today or even in the next week. Get your Google Cardboard, or there are similar other cardboard viewers. Also, the Samsung Gear is available to most who purchase the newest Samsung phone, or for $99 otherwise. Or if you want to, you can try to get in line to get the Oculus Rift. If you were one of those fortunate to be in on their Kickstarter campaign, you may already have this, but they're also working on putting this, or a version of it, with PlayStation systems. And all you need to do then is, once you have the cardboard, if you want to just start there, you just get some of those VR or cardboard apps by searching for them in the App Store. So here's some links to this presentation. You can go and look at some of the videos and such that we didn't really have time to look at, and that is about all that I have, and some links to Twitter contacts to follow.